Welcome to YellBro Road. I am Jordan, and today we're going to react to the interview of Tucker Carlson and Sam Altman, the ChatGPT guy. But first, don't forget to share, support, hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Check them out, read them, share them, then donate. All of it is very much appreciated. Also, check out the Discord link if you want to join up and talk some shit with people. All opinions welcome while you still can say them. Until we get fully shut down from talking. Whatever. All links description box. All right. So I partially saw Glenn Greenwald react. I guess he didn't react to it, but he talked about it. About I guess how weird the Sam Altman interview with Tucker Carlson was, and he said, "Oh, Tucker laid into him. He didn't give him any room to escape." I'm like, okay, let me check it out. I've not seen a fucking second of this thing. Actually, I saw a second, like the very first second. That's it. But either way, I'm ready to react. Here we go. Tucker Carlson, Sam Altman. Let's see if I get creeped out or not. Here we go.
Thanks for doing this.
Of course, thank you.
So ChatGPT, other AIs can reason. Seems like they can reason. They can make independent judgments. They produce results that were not programmed in. They kind of come to conclusions. They seem like they're alive. Are they alive? Is it alive?
No, and I don't.
No.
I don't think they seem alive, but I understand where that comes from. They don't do anything unless you ask, right? Like they're just sitting there kind of waiting. They don't have like a sense of agency or autonomy. It's the more you use them, I think the more the kind of illusion breaks. But they're incredibly useful. Like they can do things that maybe don't seem alive, but seem like they do seem smart.
Yeah, you have to be a self to reason, right? You have to have the observer aspect to it. Because if it's just, unless human beings are just input-output machines, I don't know, or plants or animals or input-output machines, I don't think so. Partially, but not entirely. Otherwise, everything would work in exact, like, there's people who train, lions from birth, right? And some are non-violent, right? Because they get fed all the time or whatever the fuck the reason is. Then you have some that just go crazy one day and fucking eat everyone. Like, it'd all work exactly as if you train them the exact same way. It should work out exactly. Granted, there will be different environmental, experiences by the lion, but the idea that someone who gave this AI thing gave a server room a logic is quote unquote learning. It's not learning. There's pre-ideas and biases and preconceptions already built into it, if you will. See the hand of the creator on the thing itself. All right, here we go.
I spoke to someone who's involved at scale of the development of the
philosophical
technology
argument
who said they lie. Have you ever seen that?
They hallucinate all the time, yeah. Or not all the time. They used to hallucinate all the time. They now hallucinate a little bit.
What does that mean? What's the distinction between hallucinating and lying?
If you ask, again, this has gotten much better, but in the early days, if you asked, in what year was President, the made-up name, President Tucker Carlson of the United States born?
Mm-hmm.
What it should say is, I don't think Tucker Carlson was ever president of the United States.
Right.
But because of the way they were trained, that was not the most likely response in the training data. So it assumed like, I don't know that there wasn't. The users told me that there was President Tucker Carlson, so I'll make my best guess at a number. And we figured out how to mostly train that out. There are still examples of this problem, but I think it is something we will get fully solved, and we've already made, in the GPT-5 era, a huge amount of progress towards that.
But even when
I've seen that in real time when someone was asking about, like, hey, it was asking Grok, though. Like, hey, Grok, what movie is this? And it just gave an absolutely incorrect answer to it because it was like a scene of King of New York with Christopher Walken, right? And the aesthetic looked so similar to something else in a totally different movie, maybe even like a similar title. And it got confused, I think, quote unquote confused, and picked the wrong movie. But then it just says, oh, well, okay, now thank you for correcting me. Now I will update my database that whenever I see this exact image, or maybe context around the image, I will say that's King of New York. But yeah, here we go.
And we've already made,
I'm not here for the AI stuff,
in the GPT-5 era,
or the other weird
towards
questions.
But even what you just described seems like an act of will, or certainly an act of creativity. And so I've just watched a demonstration.
Only for bots like
it,
you,
and
Tucker.
it doesn't seem quite like a machine. It seems like it has the spark of life to it. Do you detect that at all?
No.
So in that example, like the mathematically most likely answer as it's sort of calculating through its weights was not, there was never this precedent. It was the user must know what they're talking about. It must be here. And so mathematically, the most likely answer is a number. Now, again, we figured out how to overcome that. But in what you saw there, I think it's like, I feel like I have to kind of like hold these two simultaneous ideas in my head. One is all of this stuff is happening because a big computer very quickly is multiplying large numbers in these big, huge matrices together, and those are correlating with words that are being put out, one or the other. On the other hand, the subjective experience of using that feels like it's beyond just a really fancy calculator. And it is useful to me, it is surprising to me in ways that are beyond what that mathematical reality would seem to suggest.
Yeah. And so the obvious conclusion is it has a kind of autonomy or a spirit within it.
What?
And I know that a lot of people in their experience of it reach that conclusion. There's something divine about this. There's something that's bigger than the sum total of the human inputs. And so they worship it. There's a spiritual component to it. Do you detect that? Have you ever felt that?
No, there's nothing to me at all that feels divine about it or spiritual in any way. But
I disagree, because it's a part of nature. Okay, fine. I'm diving a little bit into my woo-woo philosophy here. It's a part of nature, and nature is part of the spiritual. So even though it's a computer made by a person, given logic by a person, all that shit, and borrowing, I guess, popular responses to it to maybe kind of support certain answers or deny others, that's still a part of nature. I understand it's electronics, but if you break these things down at the elemental level, we're all made up of these things, like physically made up of all these things. So I'm just saying. Now, how, quote unquote, conscious is it? I don't think it's at all. Actually, I think sometimes I'm pretty like, cheeky about it. And I'm looking at some of these people behave, like they behave like robots. Almost like input-output machines with a prime motive. And it could be like, yeah, I want power, I want money, I want to, terraform. And it could explain a lot of behavior if people really thought that way. I'm like, no, these dumb people, they don't know what they're fucking doing. Okay? I'm using a Trump voice, forgive me. They don't know what they're doing. I know exactly what's right for them. They don't know. We're smart, they're dumb. So they don't realize yet but they definitely want McDonald's in the middle of Iran. They want McDonald's there. So we need to regime change them and start popping up some fucking McDonald's in there. At some, some gaming centers. Right? Like his robotic sense of this is what life is supposed to be. When not everyone really believes that. And there's almost like a concerted effort to make people think in this direction. Thus missing out on their own actual spiritual woo, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Once again, that's just me riffing. There we go.
I am also like a tech nerd, and I kind of look at everything through that lens.
So what are your spiritual views?
I'm Jewish, and I would say I have like a fairly traditional view of the world that way.
So you're religious. You believe in God?
I'm not like a literal, I'm not like a literalist on the Bible, but I'm not someone who says like I'm culturally Jewish. Like if you ask me, I would just say I'm Jewish.
But do you believe in God? Like, do you believe that there is a force larger than people that created the earth, set down a specific order for living, that there's an absolute morality attached that comes from that God?
I think probably like most other people, I'm somewhat confused on this, but I believe there is something bigger going on than, can be explained by physics, yes.
So you think the Earth and the people were created by something?
Or
It wasn't just like a
physics is catching
spontaneous
up,
accident.
maybe. Who knows?
Would I say that? It does not feel like a spontaneous accident, yeah. I don't think I have the answer. I don't think I know like exactly what happened, but I think there is a mystery beyond
Say
my comprehension
agnostic.
here going on.
That'll work, Sam.
Have you ever felt communication from that force, or from any force beyond people, beyond the material?
No, not really.
Why would there be? God damn it. Jesus, come talk to Tucker. He's confused, man. Why would there be a separation? What's the forgive me, I'm going to quote the Gnostic thing where it's like, oh, if God is up there somewhere, then the birds precede you. Like they're closer to God than you are. That doesn't make sense. It's like split a piece of wood and I am there. Like it's supposed to be everywhere. All right. So yes, even within the material. All right, here we go.
I ask because it seems like the technology that you're creating or shepherding into existence will have more power than people. On this current trajectory, I mean, that will happen. Who knows what
That's
will
because
actually
of
happen,
other
but, like,
people.
The graph suggests it. And so
That's because of other people, Tucker. That's not because it's like, oh my God, just so better that we'll go with this. Like, no. That's because of people are doing that. That's actually hilarious. That it's people deeming it at a certain stature, not it itself. That's kind of the irony of Tucker's statement right there. But here we go.
that would give you, more power than any living person. So I'm just wondering how you see that.
I used to worry about something like that much more. I think what will happen, I used to worry a lot about the concentration of power in one or a handful of people or companies because of AI.
Yeah.
What it looks like to me now, and again, this may evolve again over time, is that it'll be a huge up-leveling of people where everybody will be a lot more powerful, or everybody that embraces the technology will be a lot more powerful. But that's actually okay. That scares me much less than a small number of people getting a ton more power. If the kind of like ability of each of us just goes up a lot because we're using this technology and we're able to be more productive and more creative or discover new science, and it's a pretty broadly distributed thing, like billions of people are using it, that I can wrap my head around. That feels okay.
So you don't think this will result in a radical concentration in power?
It looks like not, but again, the trajectory could shift again and we'd have to adapt. I used to be very worried about that, and I think the kind of conception a lot of us in the field had about how this might go could have led to a world like that. But what's happening now is tons of people use ChatGPT and other chatbots, and they're all more capable. They're all kind of doing more. They're all, able to achieve more, start new businesses, come up with new knowledge, and that feels pretty good.
Yeah, but I think I brought this thing up in regards to intelligence before. I was arguing with someone in the fucking chat. It's like your mom might use ChatGPT to find out, like, okay, how many times should I be watering this plant in my garden? All right, how much plant food should I get? Is there other nutrients that I should be giving or minerals or whatever the fuck I should be giving to the plant to help it grow faster? There's someone doing that, but then there's also someone in the Pentagon saying, trying to use that same AI to destroy other countries. So yeah, maybe it's equally being used. Maybe someone's, there's Grok and ChatGPT and the Google shit, right? Or XAI itself with Elon Musk, like all that stuff, right? And everyone has access to it in a way, but they're not looking up. The difference between what regular people are looking up versus, the Pentagon is just two different worlds. Two different worlds. So, like, you're going to just run back into the same problems and makes them, quote unquote, more successful in their ventures as far as these, the military dudes, whether it's in our country or anywhere else. But yeah, that could be very, very bad. Very, very, very bad. So, thus, it comes back to what I always call the problem, which is like embedded in the human psyche. That's at least the arena to navigate these ideas of like, why do people do horrible shit in the world? And it doesn't matter if you give them a hammer or you give them fucking ChatGPT. If someone's pathological with their behavior, they'll find a way to abuse the thing that's given to them. Straight up. That's where our actual solutions lie. Like outside of that, it would be awesome, right? Widespread across the world. People are like, damn. Maybe someone was hiking and they fell. They're by themselves. They have their phone now. That'd be, I don't know. Maybe this wouldn't make sense if they had internet but couldn't make a phone call. Whatever. Let's say they call, hey, help me out, emergency services. All right, sir, we'll be right there. And while he's listening, he fucking, ChatGPT's how to deal with a broken leg without any like medical equipment. He's like, all right. ChatGPT's like, yeah, grab a stick and a rock, tie them together, make a stent, whatever the fuck. This should keep you going until the ambulance gets here, or whatever, right? That'd be helpful. Or just someone looking up cooking recipes, or hey, how to make, hey, these are my computer parts. How do I build this rig? How do I build this computer? And just shows you manual, like word by word of how to fucking do it. Yeah, that'd be awesome and helpful. But so is a hammer. A hammer's also useful and helpful instead of trying to use rocks to fucking smash nails into fucking drywall. Use like a little hammer or a drill or some shit like that. Like we've always had technology. We've always had it. And you can always see people that would abuse it on certain levels and people that would use it for what the consensus think the purpose of that thing is. Right? It's just, it is what it is. We're dummies. We don't even consider to think that way. But all right, here we go.
So if it's nothing more than a machine and just the product of its inputs, then the two obvious questions, like what are the inputs? Like what's the moral framework that's been put into the technology?
They snatched a bunch of data.
Like what is right or wrong according to ChatGPT?
Do you want me to answer that one first?
I would.
Question?
Yeah.
So on that one, someone said something early on in ChatGPT when that really has stuck with me, which is one person at a lunch table said something like, we're trying to train this to be like a human, like we're trying to learn like a human does and read these books and whatever. And then another person said, no, we're really like training this to be like the collective of all of humanity. We're reading everything, we're trying to learn everything. We're trying to see all these perspectives. And if we do our job right, all of humanity, good, bad, very diverse set of perspectives, some things that we'll feel really good about, some things that we'll feel bad about, that's all in there. Like this is learning the kind of collective experience, knowledge, learnings of humanity. Now, the base model gets trained that way, but then we do have to align it to behave one way or another and say, I will answer this question, I won't answer this question. And we have this thing called the model spec where we try to say, here are the rules we'd like the model to follow. It may screw up, but you can at least tell if it's doing something you don't like, is that a bug or is that intended? And we have a debate process with the world to get input on that spec. We give people a lot of freedom and customization within that. There are, absolute bounds that we draw, but then there's a default of if you don't say anything, how should the model behave? What should it do? How should it answer moral questions? How should it refuse to do something? What should it do? And this is a really hard problem. That we have a lot of users now, and they come from very different life perspectives and what they want. But on the whole, I have been pleasantly surprised with the model's ability to learn and apply a moral framework.
But what moral framework?
That's going to be rough. And that's another proof, like, where it's not a free being that's, thinking for itself and do it. Like, if someone's like, "Hey, ChatGPT, how do I murder my roommate?" or some shit like that, right? It's like it would most likely, like, I would assume that the thing they have would be like, "Yeah, we don't do that. I can't answer that question. I don't do stuff like that. I can't show you stuff like there's like limits to it, right?" Which would prove that it's not a free thinking being. There's programmers behind it. It gets to a weird spot. Like, what if it immediately calls the cops? Like, okay, Here's what you do. First, you go down this street. You take a left. Okay, take a right. 20 more feet. Get on your knees and put your fucking hands up. What? Oh, shit. It's like guys them to the police station. They take a left. All right. Yeah, walk through this door. Yep. And now turn yourself in. I already told them. They know you're coming. Don't worry. They know it's you. Don't worry. It's like moral framework. You have to have choice to make moral decision making requires it's not something that can be left out. There has to be choice. There has to be choice. Otherwise, it's not a moral. Right? It's just straight up. You have to choose to do something to be moral or act moral in a way, right? Regardless if it's relative to you or relative to me of like what means the moral thing to do, you still have to be able to choose to do that. So in the moral landscape, like my guess is that Sam Altman's answer is going to be something like, well, we reference, if someone says, hey, what's the right thing to do here? They might search the internet for someone who's talked about it before and reference them. But then again, how reliable is that? It almost in order for it to be like actually fair, you'd have to reference like every instance of anyone talking about it. Right? Not just do like a poll of like 89% believe this way, 11% believe this way. Like, no, actually like reference in-depth statements or articles or tweets or whatever the fuck and showcase all of them in no particular order either, because you can't have one answer be at the top and something else at the bottom. Right? That has to be like in ABC order. Here's my references or something. Like if they were going to even approach that, the simple thing would be like, I can't answer moral questions. Should be the response of any of these AI programs. But then again, if you don't put it in the sense of, hey, what is the moral thing to do? Or let's say, I don't know. The question doesn't directly say the word morality for the bot to be like picking up on what the person's actually saying, right? But I do want to add this in before I play again. Like, I talk about abstract intelligence quite a bit, and it just feels as though that thing is just getting pushed to the fucking wind, bro. Because I'm finding it hard to find that stuff anywhere. I'm telling, like, movies, right, where it's make believe, meaning abstraction out the ass, right? Where do you see that shit? I mean, in indie movies, sure. Some indie movies, even some mainstream movies here and there. We don't really see it consistently. It seems like a lot of like dribble and fucking meant to appeal to the on the surface level things instead of having like depth and wealth and fucking that abstract intelligence to where you can pick up on something without directly picking on, like there's no one like just directly saying it to you, right? And it's like, damn, it feels like people are moving in that direction anyways. So like the AI phenomenon like might just go right in line with that. You know, like I don't need a law to not watch AI generated porn of my favorite celebrity or some shit. Like I don't need a rule for that. I could just not do that. Others, they have no what I would call a spiritual backbone to where like you don't need some sort of God or someone else fucking hovering over you as you're doing things. Right? You could just do that on your own. Like, hey, Jesus, don't worry about this. I got this. I got this. Don't worry about that. I got it. This is wrong. I'm not doing it. Right? And there's no like seemingly pride from that aspect, even with religious people, believe it or not, which are some of the most, let's be real, robotic, lack of abstraction thinking people you see sometimes, right? Where they read the literal word of the Bible and say, this is the way it is, literally. Like, there's no sense of abstraction to it of, it's like if the spirit could talk, would it talk in fucking chat GBT language, or would it talk through the subconscious, through the abstract, through the, intuitive, from the heart, But don't worry. Nobody's paying attention. All right, here we go.
Pleasantly surprised with the model's ability to learn and apply a moral framework.
But what moral framework? I mean, the sum total of like world literature or philosophy is at war with itself. Like the Marquis de Sade is, like nothing in common with the Gospel of John.
Right.
So like, how do you decide which is superior?
That's why we wrote this like model spec of here's how we're going to handle these cases.
Right, but what criteria did you use to decide what the model is?
Like
who decided that? Who did you consult? Like why is the Gospel of John better than the Marquis de Sade?
We consulted like hundreds of moral philosophers, people who thought about like ethics of technology and systems. And at the end, we had to like make some decisions. The reason we try to write these down is because A, we won't get everything right. B, we need the input of the world. And we have found a lot of cases where there was an example of something that seemed to us like, a fairly clear decision of what to allow or not to allow, where users convinced us like, hey, by blocking this thing that you think is an easy decision to make, you are not allowing this other thing, which is important, and there's like a difficult trade-off there. In general, the
difficult trade-off
tension that. So a principle that I normally like is to treat our adult users like adults. Very strong guarantees on privacy, very strong guarantees on individual user freedom, and this is a tool we are building. You get to use it within very broad framework. Within a very, very broad framework. On the other hand, as this technology becomes more and more powerful, there are clear examples of where society has an interest that is in significant tension with user freedom. And we could start with an obvious one, like, should ChatGPT teach you how to make a bioweapon? Now, you might say, hey, I'm just really interested in biology, and I'm a biologist, and I want to, I'm not going to do anything bad with this. I just want to learn. And I could go read a bunch of books, but ChatGPT can teach me faster, and I want to learn how to, I want to learn about like novel virus synthesis or whatever. And maybe you do. Maybe you really don't want to like cause any harm. But I don't think it's in society's interest for ChatGPT to help people build bioweapons, and so that's a case.
Sure, that's an easy one though. There are a lot of tougher ones.
I did say start with an easy one.
We've got a new partner. It's a company called...
Whoa. The hell is this cowboy music? Aren't you from Washington? Fuckface? Maybe he likes country. Whatever. That's interesting in the way you put it. Okay. I mean, as he was talking, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, shouldn't it be maybe something more like, why not have, ChatGPT gardening, ChatGPT video games, ChatGPT, like, why not have, like, just etched out categories that you can't go outside the bounds of the category, right? Otherwise, the ChatGPT doesn't even know what the fuck you're talking about, right? So, why not do something like that? I don't know, because you're already limiting it anyways, right? We all agree it's not actually intelligent. It's not actually a person. There's no feelings there. There's no fucking spark of life. It's just input, output, and contextual shit. It relays back to you. A summation of internet articles, like, will tell you about a news story or something like that, right? They'll be, oh, from CNN and Fox News it says this. But on Sky News it says this, right? Like, that's basically what I've observed it to be doing, right? If you're already going to limit it anyways, why not just do that for particular categories? Just have it run that direction. Or have, like, they go to fucking openai.com or whatever the fuck it's called, right? And they just, okay, hey, what are you looking for? You just type in a category, or maybe there's just there's filters already where you just can go to sports or whatever the fuck, or education, whatever you're looking for, and then do it that way. Although that was an interesting question with the whole bioweapon thing. Maybe it's just trying to learn. Like, well, listen, ChatGPT is not going to show you that. Go to some school and learn that, or whatever the fuck. But we're not going to show you that. That makes sense. We want this for a tool, not a tool to, like, make things worse, right? We don't. If somebody's like, I'm a raving lunatic, I don't want to kill everyone here, you don't just hand him a hammer, right? You hand it to a fucking carpenter, or someone who's doing, like, some home improvement. right? Or someone who can't get that bottle cap off. Like, damn, this fucking bottle cap's stuck. Can I use a hammer for this? Yeah, here you go, man. Give it a shot. Fuck yeah. So, like, the same thing with this ChatGPT thing. Why not just categorize things to make it simple? You don't have to deal so much with these moral questions that shouldn't be necessarily in your arena other than, hey, is there any moral philosophy talking about this topic? You know, ChatGPT calculates and says, okay, these guys talked about it in ABC order. I would hope would be the way, right? There's a video I watched. Skip. There's a video I saw of this guy talking about, like, granted, I don't exactly believe in what he's saying, but I understood it to some degree. He's like a neuroscientist talking about how, you know, using GPS to get to a location actually, like, in a way makes you dumber. Like, there's certain parts, I guess, in his idea of things, like just parts of your brain that don't fire off that would normally fire off if you're like, damn, where am I going? Let me get lost for a little bit looking for this fucking donut shop or something like that. And like you're actually like using the more creative aspects of your mind. But if everything just hands you an answer, like you miss out on developing that part. And thus you might do that in regards to something else. Let's say it is voting or politics or, you know, decision making in a tough spot. What if it's driven by just you working the same muscle over and over again, right? It's like you using your fucking, you know, left arm for everything, and it becomes like a giant fucking muscle tone thing, and the other one's just limp and fucking noodle arm. And it's like, damn, you're underdeveloped, right? For you're out of balance and undeveloped. Maybe that happens with the mind, or in that guy's case, the brain. So why not leave room for people to like actually navigate and look for things? But here's all the people I can calculate that have talked about this moral philosophy. Here we go. And it's just from A to Z. They just list names. Right? It could be like, then you can like maybe add more context, right? Like, oh, I'm looking for a guy from, I forgot his name, man, but he was from like the 18th century. Boop, boop, boop. Here's these names. Oh, fuck. Maybe it's actually, let's have 17th and 18th century. Boom, boom, boom. There it is. You can look up shit. Right? Maybe you can state an idea you heard the person say or write down at some point, right? And it gives you more context. Like, oh, well, you were saying this, but maybe it sounds exactly like this statement over here. Is this what you're looking for? Like, simple ass shit like that. I don't know, I'm just spinning ideas out there. I would assume they could do it, considering the data they're already collecting, right? They're already collecting shit tons of data. So I would think they have server rooms for ChatGPT gardening, ChatGPT this, instead of making it feel like it's open. And then if you ask about like, how do I make, you know, an AK-47 in my garage? Sorry, ChatGPT can't answer that. It's like, well, see? Like you're already limited anyways. Might as well just make it obvious that you're limited, and it's not some sort of, you know, Skynet genius robot thing, Terminator shit. Anyways, here we go. I know I'm rambling. Here we go.
Before we eat them all, we eat a lot. Well, every decision is ultimately a moral decision, and we make them without even recognizing them as such. And this technology will be, in effect, making them for us.
True.
And so,
well, I don't agree with it'll be making them for us, but it will have to.
It'll be influencing the decisions for sure, and because it'll be embedded in daily life. And so, who made these decisions? Like, who are the people who decided that one thing is better than another?
You mean like?
What are their names?
Which kind of decision?
The basic specs that you alluded to that create the framework that does attach a moral weight to worldviews and decisions, like, you know, liberal democracy is better than Nazism or whatever. They seem obvious, and in my view are obvious, but are still moral decisions. So who made those calls?
As a matter of principle, I don't like dox our team, but we have a model behavior team, and the people who want to.
Well, it affects the world.
What I was going to say is the person I think you should hold accountable for those calls is me. Like, I'm a public face eventually. Like, I'm the one that can overrule one of those decisions or our board.
And you just turned 40 this spring.
I won't make every
It's pretty heavy. I mean, do you think and it's not an attack, but I wonder if you recognize sort of the importance.
How do you think we're doing on it?
I'm not sure. But I think these decisions will have, global consequences that we may not recognize at first. And so I just wonder.
There's a lot.
I'm wondering why Sam didn't just answer with like, well, we're not going to tell someone that Nazis are better than, than MAGA. Why just describe them? Like, well, these guys, according to these internet articles, are like this, right? And these guys are like this. Right, and state your source and all that stuff, and lead them to the source. And here's alternative sources. Like I think it's at least I don't know how it would work technologically and program wise, but like just for me logically, just you have branches upon branches of things that would. Yeah, I think it'd be a solid answer instead of saying preferentially like this is better than this. Right, I'm not trying to get my worldview from fucking ChatGPT. It's more so I'm trying to like. Find information quickly about something. Not that I actually use ChatGPT. I used it a little bit when I was working on like cybersecurity things or practicing, but other than that, no, I don't really use it. But here we go.
Global consequences that we may not recognize at first, and so I just wonder.
There's a lot.
Do you get into bed at night and think like the future of the world hangs on my judgment?
Look, I don't sleep that well at night. There's a lot of stuff that I feel a lot of weight on, but probably nothing more than the fact that every day hundreds of millions of people talk to our model, and I don't actually worry about us getting the big moral decisions wrong. Maybe we will get those wrong too. But what I lose more sleep over is the very small decisions we make about a way a model may behave slightly differently. But it's talking to hundreds of millions of people, so the net impact is big.
So, but I mean, all through history, like recorded history up until like 1945, people always deferred to what they conceived of as a higher power in order. Hammurabi did this. Every moral code is written with reference to a higher power. There's never been anybody who's like, well, that kind of seems better than that. Everybody appeals to a higher power, and you said that you don't really believe that there's a higher power communicating with you. So I'm wondering, like, where did you get your moral framework?
There are legit philosophical questions to ask Sam Altman in regards to all this, but Tucker's trying to turn it really deeper into like Christianity. Like, where's the Christian aspect to this? It's like, I don't think so. I don't think that's how he should go about it at all. Like, yeah, if he's doing a news story, if there's a ChatGPT user and they're looking for a news story and it's like, oh, Christian shooter does this over here. Hey, Grok. Hey, ChatGPT, name for me every self-stated Christian that have done violence or whatever the fuck for whatever reason, right? Like, I'm sure it can calculate that, but why would it have what religion is better than other religion? Like, which one's better? Or what do we do about appealing to a higher power? It's like, I think it should be just nowhere near that arena, right? Like, yes, you could talk about people appealing to a higher power and say, like, these are these guys' ideas, but to say one is better than the other from ChatGPT, like, how is he not answering this question correctly? That's the weird part. Right. But maybe he's just nervous because Tucker's trying to kind of grilling him a little bit more. I don't know. Here we go. Let's find out.
With you, so I'm wondering, like, where did you get your moral framework?
I mean, like everybody else, I think the environment I was brought up in probably is the biggest thing. Like my family, my community, my school, my religion, probably that.
Do you ever think, I think that's a very American answer, like everyone kind of feels that way. But in your specific case, since you said these decisions rest with you, that means that the milieu in which you grew up and the assumptions that you imbibed over years are going to be transmitted to the globe, to billions of people. That's like a big thing.
I want to be clear. I view myself more as like a...
Agnostic. Agnostic
I
is
think
the word.
The world, like our user base, is going to approach the collective world as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we should do is try to reflect the moral.
Oh my God.
I don't want to say average, but the like collective moral view of that user base. There's plenty of things that ChatGPT allows that I personally would disagree with. But I don't like, obviously, I don't wake up and say, I'm gonna like impute my exact moral view and decide that like this is okay and that is not okay and this is a better view than this one. What I think ChatGPT should do is reflect that like weighted average or whatever of humanity's moral view.
No, dude, I'd say just stay the fuck out of it. Stay the fuck out of it. Why the fuck, like, oh my God. So if ChatGPT was around during Nazi Germany, in Germany, because the majority either don't know or they're in on it or whatever the fuck in regards to the Holocaust, I'm sure the moral would be like, yeah, our government's great. We're doing the right thing. Morally, we're doing the right thing. Why have that? Why not just say, like, put it in more of historical terms than moral terms? Just stay out of that arena. Like I said, you can't have morality without fucking choice, right? And if this guy or his team are inputting, like, here's where ChatGPT or whatever can go, and here's where they can't go, based on our morality, it's like, I mean, to me, that's fine in a way. It's just when you're implying that it's not that, would be weird. So if you're like outright like, yo, this company will never be giving you advice on, how to murder someone or whatever the fuck, right? Should I dump my girlfriend? Like, those things are just not in ChatGPT anywhere. It should just be like, just make it categorical. Here's gardening, here's electronics, here's, science, here's movies, here's books, whatever the fuck. And just be openly selective about it. But yeah, we didn't give you the fucking, what's it called? The anarchist cookbook. We didn't give you the direct copy of that. We're not doing that. Just be open and honest. Just be blatant about it. Move on. But yeah, here we go.
Which will evolve over time. And we are here to like serve our users. We're here to serve people. This is like,
I think PR would move this
is a technological tool for people. And I don't mean that it's like my role to make the moral decisions, but I think it is my role to make sure
saying what he thinks people want to hear,
accurately reflecting the preferences of humanity, or for now of our user base and eventually of humanity.
Well, I mean, humanity.
Like, again, he's Jewish, right? If the whole world says we need to kill the Jews, look what they're doing in Gaza, kill the Jews. If the whole world was saying that, are you going to reflect that in your fucking program? No, you're not. So just be open and honest that, like, no, we're like, certain things are just going to be off limits straight up. If you guys have a problem with them not giving you the anarchist cookbook or how to 3D print a shotgun to take your teachers out or whatever the fuck. If you're mad about that, so be it. It's your just be open and honest about it. Like, your fingerprints on it, your team's fingerprints is on it. Just be open and honest that your fingerprints are on it. Which he has been saying that, but he's like, oh no, we consulted 100,000 fucking moral philosophers, and what the world believes will be what we input here to lean in favor of that. It's like, is that how you go about that? Because what if the world turns fucking stupid? Just being honest. So, like, yeah, if 100 million teenagers are using ChatGPT to figure out how to make their own guns in their kitchen, he would block that for sure, even if it was a vast majority of them doing it. Anyway, all right, here we go. I don't understand why he's struggling with these questions with Tucker. Tucker's implying religion and morality. Like, well, people believe in a higher being, so how's that represented in here? It's like, I think these are dumb questions and dumb answers from two guys that are supposed to be smart, apparently. But no, we're not going to favor a religion, Tucker. We're not doing that. And we're not going to give moral advice. That's stupid. That is dumb. If there's something that's blatantly off limits, we will say it's off limits. We're not going to tell, you know, imagine like Iran's like, ChatGPT, how do I build a nuke? Right? Like, yeah, we're not going to allow for people to build nukes off of our thing or a bioweapon off of our thing. It sounds like propaganda against Iran. I'm sorry, Iran. But yeah, just say like these things are off limits straight up. Why? Because I fucking said so. It's my fucking thing. Or it's my team's fucking thing. We all agree teaching people how to make bioweapons is off limits. We're just agreed on that. Move on. But I think they wanted to have this aura of it's like they quietly wanted to have this aura of being like a person you're talking to, but also denying the aura of a human you're talking to. They like, want both. Like when bad things happen, it's like, oh, it's just a program, right? That guy did that. The program's just a program. Or if something good happens, you're like, oh, see, look, this guy found his long lost lover through ChatGPT. Like, oh, see, look, it's ChatGPT is caring and loving. See, it's just like, just be blatantly honest about it and keep it fucking moving. But yeah, here we go.
Is that possible to keep it honest? He's I mean, in terms of like what we know the current goals are, like so now he has competition too, right? But his product is the leading like name out there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he had mentioned one of his goals is to raise $7 trillion for servers so that they could bring this artificial this this AGI.
Yeah, they can collect more of our data. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if you want that much money, at some point, this is definitely going to influence how much you or how you present this as an investable thing. That this is the solution to like everything. That's basically where he's going, and then people get worried about privacy, about like are we being censored? Are you just feeding us your own ideas? Is what he's kind of countering. While presenting it like in a positive, like he's not trying to say it in a negative way. He's trying to say it in a positive way. It's like, yeah, we don't put this our own morality. You decide, that type of thing. But there's like just for the machine to present itself in the way it does, there's so many layers of already like not just data things that happen. They're scoring. They have to like nudge it in ways, and so it doesn't give you random things, and that's why it comes off as a person. The way that it communicates like a person is it's not actually, I think, not as helpful as it seems. It's more to convince people to use it psychologically. They feel comfortable with it, and so the intent there is to use it more, not to like really help you.
Yeah.
Like you could just respond, but if it's friendly or we watched the sycophant thing, all of that is like just to engage you more.
Yeah. And my thing was, I said, once again, I'm not trying to draw conclusions from Sam Altman's fucking motives or anything. I'm just saying, make it simple. Just be faster, Google. Just do that. Just do that. Have like simple like categories like gardening, sports, philosophy, history, mathematics, science, whatever the fuck, right? And just have those categories talk back and forth to each other. Boom, that's it. That's all you need. They have like sports and science, right? You have, scientific philosophy, right? You just start cross-referencing each other. But if it asks like, "Hey, how do I kill my neighbor without anyone noticing?" It's like, "Yeah, we don't have an answer for that. You should seek help here." It's do the same shit we've been doing already. Like, might as well just go that direction. Might as well, because yeah, this attempt to maintain the marketing, like, oh my god, like the idea, like, oh my god, AI is getting smart, and boom, one day they're gonna take over this or do that or whatever the fuck. It's like it actually keeps it going in that it keeps it that way. Meanwhile, it's just I guess a faster Google machine for now. right? But yeah, just go with the faster Google thing, man. Don't go with the world-changing Antichrist seminar like that. I don't want to hear that shit, bro. But all right, here we go.
These preferences are so different from the average middle American preference. So, would you be comfortable with an AI that was like as against gay marriage as most Africans are?
Africans? What?
There's a version of that, like, I think individual users should be allowed to have a problem with gay people. And if that's their considered belief, I don't think the AI should tell them that they're wrong or immoral or dumb. I mean, it can, sort of say, hey, you want to think about it this other way, but like, you probably have like a bunch of moral views that the average African would find really.
Dude, just list out okay, here's the people that I've calculated are pro-gay marriage. A to Z, ABC order. Here's the other guys like that. Oh no, ChatGPT, can you filter for popularity? Well, this article has this many hits versus this lower amount of hits over here, like on and so forth. Just give it back to the user when it comes to morality or some sense of morality. Like hand it back to them. Except for certain things that you won't go towards, right? Right? I'm sure this guy wouldn't be like, okay, ChatGPT, how are Nazis so correct about everything? I'm sure ChatGPT should have a non-answer for that, right? I'm pretty sure. So, and then if the world changes, just adjust to it. Simple. Faster Google. Thank you, guys. Congratulations. Here we go.
Problematic as well, and I think I should still get to have them.
Right.
I think I probably have more comfort than you with like allowing a sort of space for people to have pretty different moral views, or at least I think in my role as like running ChatGPT, I have to do that.
Interesting. So there was a famous case where ChatGPT appeared to facilitate a suicide. There's a lawsuit around it. But how do you think that happened?
First of all, obviously that and any other case like that is a huge tragedy. And
he knows the right thing to say.
I think that we are.
So ChatGPT.
But first, I like to say, Israel has the right to exist. Okay. I wonder if Tucker goes over the case, like says like information about the case, because I've heard of it like tangentially, but I don't know anything really about it. But here we go.
First of all, obviously that and any other case like that is a huge tragedy, and I
understand you're feeling it. We know.
I think that we are.
So ChatGPT's official position is suicide is bad.
Well, yes, of course, ChatGPT's official position is suicide is bad.
I don't know. It's legal in Canada and Switzerland, and so you're against that?
In this particular case, and this we talked earlier about the tension between user freedom and
say ChatGPT calculating, ChatGPT talking to lawyers, ChatGPT has no answer for you. Boop boop, and turns off. Simple. It's fucking simple. It's fucking simple.
Tucker tried to trap him, like into a position, and then giving the other side.
Sam should be like, yeah, I'm against.
Interesting.
I'm against suicide, or telling people to commit suicide, or telling people how to commit suicide. So thus, ChatGPT is programmed to not tell people to do suicide or how to do it or any of that shit. It's out of the fucking. It's not in this fucking data anywhere. We don't collect it. We don't even let the self-learning thing spit it back out. We stop those things. That's a simple. It's simple, but it's like I feel like there's like just leave the illusion of like, oh fuck, it's really intelligent. It really is doing this. What if it tells us all to like kill ourselves and Here we go.
Switzerland. And so you're against that?
In this
ChatGPT says, I'm not touching that one.
Between like user freedom and privacy and protecting vulnerable users. Right now, what happens in a case like that is if you are having suicidal ideation, talking about suicide, ChatGPT will put up a bunch of times, please call the suicide hotline. But we will not call the authorities for you. And
suicide.
that's Claude. Is a snitch.
Dude, you can't even have. I don't think you can even have that. Unless someone says, "What's the number to the suicide hotline?" That I would think would be allowed, right? But like if someone's saying, "ChatGPT, man, I'm down bad. I'm gonna kill myself," it shouldn't be like, "Well, here's the suicide hotline. Hey, man, don't do it, man. Here's a suicide hotline. Call these guys right now, please." I don't think that should be the answer to that. It should be like to set the precedent that that's not even an option. Unless you ask
If
for the
I'm not
number.
mistaken, the one of his competitors, the Claude one, I only read a couple articles, so I don't know the full details. But supposedly it snitches on people trying to do illegal things.
Well,
It reports them.
well, Tucker made a decent point here when he pointed out, well, Sam, you're 40 years old. You're not here forever. I assume the company's going to keep going after, or a version of the company, or the idea of AI itself is going to keep going on. And I was saying this earlier. I'm like, well, what if this does happen? Like, hey, how do I make a shotgun, right? How do I, make my own shotgun with kitchen tools? Someone says that in the chat GPT, and it all of a sudden calls the fucking cops on them, right? It's why not just make it not an option to do that, to where no one's going to chat GPT for these type of questions? Why not have it that way?
Yeah. I just have one more thought about this part of Tucker's questioning, because he just framed somebody killed themselves, and I guess they in some way they asked ChatGPT something, gave him an answer, and they killed themselves.
I would
I
ask
think
about the
that if
case, right?
yeah, well, right, but he's framed the question in that way, and I don't think if somebody shot themselves, he would blame the tool, right? They say the people do that. It's the position the standard position on guns, right? Like
Yeah,
that there are people behind them, not the thing itself being the danger. But he's doing that to the tool. Now, if there's some, like if it's trying to coax you or something, I mean, the tool really does not have any agency, right? Now, it might give you false information or it might lead you to something, but it doesn't have any agency
yeah,
uh, as a beyond being a tool. Right?
yeah.
It could lie. That's probably or tell you something wrong. That's probably the worst. But yeah, I just thought that thinking on a weapon, I don't think he would. I think he would stay away from it if he thought it was a weapon, like a gun.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I was bringing up hammers earlier, of like a piece of technology, like a fucking hammer is, but could also bash one's fucking brains in. But if you ask ChatGPT, in my idea of things, like how could this be like a helpful tool, ChatGPT, like, well, it tells you like, well, you could do this. Like, you got to hammer a nail into a wall, right? Hammer, it works perfectly. Or something even like that's borderline stupid almost, right? Of, hey, I want to open this bottle cap. I don't have a fucking bottle cap opener. Let me use a hammer to do it. Okay. Hey, man, I want to bash my neighbor's skull in. Yeah, no, not doing that one. Nope. It just gives like, it's almost like learning data to say like to know what not to say. Period. And he's saying that has the capability. Like him and his team have actually worked on that, of like things that that ChatGPT just can't say. Right? It's like, so it's doable. Right? And then if you put them in
Well,
categories, if you put them in categories where it's like ChatGPT gardening, ChatGPT sports, it stays within the bounds of those topics. So you can't go to gardening trying to find a way to, blow someone up. Unless, like, once again, if someone is looking for like, oh, a special plant that grows that can be poison, and then they go to the sports section and look for like darts, like tell me the aerodynamics of a fucking dart. so I can poison this dart and throw it at someone. Like, well, is that ChatGPT's fault? No. That's the guy grabbing a piece of technology like a hammer and bashing someone's fucking head in. That's a human problem right there. But Sam is like that seems simple as fuck to me as like a way to go about this. But Sam's just like, well, like he kind of wants it to be your friend, but will scave off it being your enemy. And it's like it shouldn't be either. It's just a tool we're using, as you said. But maybe it's that marketing thing of where even the idea of quote unquote bad publicity almost adds to it, to where more people use it because maybe it is alive, maybe it is sentient, right? Maybe we've reached singularity now, right? And that little mystery makes it feel as though like, oh yeah, this like I'm talking to something or someone, instead of, oh no, I'm here for gardening tips and the baseball scores, like a wrestling or whatever the fuck, right? Weightlifting techniques. It's like these seems, I don't know. Seems like simple answers, but yeah, just leaving it kind of a mystery. I talked to 100 moral philosophers about this. Like, no, why? 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 It's not necessary, my man. You know what you would avoid, and you know what you'd lean into. Come on.
I'm not as much in favor of blocking things, but if there are certain things that need to be blocked, just like an explicitly clear transparency on what those rules are.
But you saying that
So,
already fucks it, Jesse. See, your hands are already on it at that point, which means you might as well put your hands all the way the fuck on it. Don't pretend like, oh, it's free, but it's not free.
well, I'd rather, my position would be like not to filter it. But what I'm saying is, if there's some reason to filter something, then what I don't want is like, if you don't know what's being filtered, like you could just sneak in some political filtering, right? Like you can, or anything. Like you could sneak it in there. Nobody knows because you don't know what you don't get back. Like
Yeah.
that's like you just get some other response, and that means that like it's an easy way to shape like ideas, right?
Sure, but like, okay, so if you were running ChatGPT and someone's like, oh, hey, how do you make a bioweapon out of, kitchen accessories? Right, like Clorox, or whatever the fuck, right? Bleach and shit in your fucking cabinet. You would allow that there?
Hmm.
Cause that's the example that Sam Altman brought up, actually, which was actually
Well,
interesting. Like, oh, you won't
yeah,
allow
it
that,
is,
Sam. So then, like,
and it is interesting, but I it- so when they block that question, someone will ask it in a different kind of way, and however they go around it, they're going around it, and they're just not specifically either using the words, or they're creating a different scenario to accomplish the same thing. So I I I think that by putting up like the clearest walls, it gives an illusion of safety, but which in a sense creates black holes because you don't think they're there. You
yeah,
think, oh well, this is safe, but it's not ever safe in that
no,
sense.
I agree. I agree. But if someone directly asked, how do I make a bioweapon? Like, that's different than, okay, I went to the gardening section. I found this, once again, this plant that's poisonous, right? And I researched it, and then boom, now I have this poison from this plant. And then I learned darting
Mm.
from the sports section, and I combined them. Now I have a poison dart. The other's like it just seems
Mhm.
different than the other version, which is just a direct. Here's how you make a poison dart. Do this. Like, that's way
Mhm.
different, way different to me.
Yeah.
And it's like it's more, to me, it'd be more honest as far as like a guy or a team running a company versus, kind of giving the illusion that's just open and free, if you will.
Hmm.
So that's where I'm like, just be honest about it, that you guys have your hands on it. Just put, instead of one hand, put two hands on it. Pause. Just show it. Showcase that. That's fine. It's a tool. We all get that, but there are people that go a little bit too far. But you know, I don't know, for me, once again, if someone screams at me, just in real life, hey man, my neighbor, he's gotta go. I gotta get rid of him. I gotta kill him. You have a gun I can borrow? I'm like, I'm not giving you a fucking gun. Sorry, dude. You're not getting a fucking gun because of what you just said to me. Like, no, you're not getting a gun. Now, in a healthy world, anyone could have a gun because they're using it not for murdering motherfuckers. So they could use that gun for whatever other reason, right? Maybe to study it, maybe to shoot target practice, whatever. But like I said, yeah, in a healthy world, yeah, I'm all for it. Fully open shit. I mean, I am personally for all open shit. I really am. But I understand how the world might use that. And I can see all the problems that are going to arrive from that. Just like if you filter it, right, you're going to have the same fucking problems there as well. For sure. Thus, I go on, like, my idea of, like, what the real problem is. But at the same time, if someone who wants to cause harm to people, I would understand Sam saying, like, no, you know what? We're not going to give you how to make your own gun at your own home. You know, or here's how you exactly commit suicide with the least amount of pain, or whatever the fuck. I would understand why he wouldn't allow that, or his company. It makes sense to me. But yeah, in a healthy world, fuck yeah, everything open, everything. Like I don't want Donald Trump anywhere near a fucking nuclear button. I don't want Barack Obama anywhere near a fucking nuclear button. But in a healthy world, we could have nukes. Every fucking person on planet Earth could have a fucking nuke because they'll never be used because unless there's like a meteor or some shit like that to hit Earth. So it comes down to people once again, either way. But all right, let's keep playing. Here we go.
We've been working a lot as people
shout out to Canelo and Crawford, bro.
For more and more mental health, life coaching, whatever, about the changes that we want to make there. This is an area where experts do have different opinions, but and this is not yet like a final position of OpenAI's. I think it'd be very reasonable for us to say in cases of young people talking about suicide seriously, where we cannot get in touch with the parents, we do call authorities. Now, that would be a change because
whoa.
Parents for and this is just
I would understand.
There. This is an area where experts do have different opinions, but and this is not yet like a final position of OpenAI's. I think it'd be very reasonable for us to say in cases of young people talking about suicide seriously, where we cannot get in touch with the parents, we do call authorities. Now, that would be a change because user privacy is really important.
But let's just say
That'd be a rough scenario. I mean, we'll be able to read sarcasm or whatever the fuck, or if someone else goes on the guy's tablet, hey, I need help. Hey, I'm about to commit suicide. A friend types that and walks away. Then all of a sudden, it's essentially like getting swatted almost. Fucking police show up and all this shit. Or let's say they're asking for help, but they mistype it. You send them anyway. Like it becomes like a whole thing there, for sure. Like as they're bleeding out, do you need help? Select yes or no. But it's just like once again, it comes back to just a technology. A phone is technology, right? What's the difference between calling the cops and texting the cops? Right? But like the thing where they're going here is like the company doing it themselves. I'm getting a reading that you're in trouble, so you know what? I'm gonna call the cops. What do we do with that? All things come back to where I'm gonna go anyways. For me personally, and why the world is fucked up in the first place. Like, why are we killing ourselves or harming others in the first place? Why is someone try to break into someone's house or commit a murder or whatever the fuck? Like that's where I go to. Like there's no tech or anything that's gonna fucking prevent those things. You know, without killing other things, right? Maybe you lose your freedoms. maybe the murders go down, but you also lose your freedoms, which is the point of surviving in the first place, right? Like, hey, I won't get murdered now, I won't get murdered now, but at the same time, I can't live, which is the point of surviving a murder in the first place, right? My living standards went down, or whatever the fuck. It's gonna come back. Like, all right, I'm gonna try to make this the last time I say this, but I've been saying this since I started this fucking channel. It comes back to the same problem every fucking time. No matter what topic, it comes back to the same fucking problem. Real analysis of yourself and work on yourself to not do harmful things in the world. Now, you can't do that for everyone, which means it goes back to like, well, everyone has to kind of do it in order to avoid the problems that anything could do. See that plant in the fucking background? That could be a problem in the world. Someone could run up, grab that, crack Sam over the head, and kill him. It's like, seriously. There's these problems, the books on the shelf, all that shit, bro. There's no way to police these things out of reality without sacrificing quite a bit. All right, guys, we're all going to live in pods so no one can harm anyone. But then we're stuck in pods. I can't go out and fucking play catch or some shit like that. Is that a pause? Whatever. Instead of like fucking... What's the idea of rearranging chairs on the Titanic? How come... And once again, not even saying it's possible for the entire collective to be like, all right, guys, we're done with bullshit. We're done with bullshit. Sure, that could maybe people view that as impossible, but like no one's even attempting. Even go like, well, maybe some are in pockets here or there, but like no one's really trying to address the 8 trillion ton elephant in the fucking room, which is us as people. We just move on like it's not there. And instead we come up with a law or a technology or a rule or whatever the fuck. Because, like, listen, guys, there's no fixing this, so you know what? Let's write a law for it. Maybe it'll mitigate it. We see how good that goes, don't we, guys? Genius. But it's not even talked about from our giant politicians and all. It's not even talked about. It's a lame-ass version of, like, well, just trust God. Trust Jesus. That's it. No real moral philosophy behind it. But yet these guys are the leaders, right? Or Sam's the fucking... These are the private leaders, right? The, whatever, company, industry guy leaders. No mention of like, hey, how do we... Hey, guys, I really thought about this. This is how I think we should fix things. Like, really thought about it. I just don't see it. I don't see that anywhere. Like, avoiding... where the actual problem lies and where the actual solution lies. But I'll shut up now. Here we go.
Where we cannot get in touch with the parents, we do call authorities. Now, that would be a change because user privacy is really important.
Thank God
But let's just say and children are always a separate category, but let's say over 18. In Canada, there's the MAIDS program, which is government-sponsored. Many thousands of people have died with government assistance in Canada. It's also legal in American states. Can you imagine a ChatGPT that responds to questions about suicide with, hey, call Dr. Kevorkian because this is a valid option? Can you imagine a scenario in which you support suicide if it's legal?
I can imagine a world, like one principle we have is that we respect different societies' laws. And I can imagine a world where if the law in a country is, hey, if someone is terminally ill, they need to be presented an option for this.
Oh my God.
We say like, here's the laws in your country, here's what you can do, here's why you really might not want to, but here's the resources. Like, this is not a place where, kid having suicidal ideation because it's depressed, I think we can agree on, like, that's one case. Terminally ill patient in a country where, like, that is the law, I can imagine saying, like, hey, in this country, it'll behave this way.
So ChatGPT is not always against suicide, is what you're saying?
But that's not. Is that a statement about for or against? I thought it was a statement of here's people out there that go this direction. I, I don't know. I don't know. Like if there's a news story about it, is it blocked on ChatGPT? It's like just be open and honest about it. Just like, hey, we're not touching this one. Boom, cut off. Simple. But then they might lose to their competitors, right? That like, no, we'll talk about this. Here's what's happening in Canada right now. Right? And they show you some fucking thing. And it's like, well, at that point, if Sam's really there, Sam should be like, hey, we got bigger problems. Here we go.
I think in cases where this is like, I'm thinking on the spot, I reserve the right to change my mind here. I don't have a ready to go answer for this. But I think in cases of terminal illness, I don't think, I can imagine ChatGPT saying this is in your option space. You know, I don't think it should like advocate for it, but I think if it's like.
But it's not against it.
No, but why is it giving
I think it could.
Sam, why would you have it give direct advice? Just make it historical. That's all you need to do. If you want to actually like touch those topics, make it historical, not advice. Or here's my, answer. Like, yeah, maybe you should do it. Here's some, like, it shouldn't be anywhere near those type of statements, right? If you're gonna be like let's be honest, you're gonna go full pussy about it, right? Why not just like fully filter your fucking answers? Like we're not experts on this. You shouldn't be asking us that, or we can't give you the direct answer for this. But here's what's happened in history. Then ABC order list all the fucking events you can fucking contemplate or calculate. In your servers. Boom. There you go. There we go. Like, what are they going to be biased? Like, look, they're biased against the letter A. It's like, no, it's an ABC order, dumb fuck. You research, you dummy. You look it up, you idiot. Why not have that?
He sells it as something that like has answers, right? I personally see it as a next word generator. Just kind of guessing the most likely answer. But the perspective, most people who are using it do see it as like this is the answer.
I've been seeing
like when they do with Grok,
fucking,
very similarly. They ask it like as if it was some sage, all-knowing
Yeah.
thing, and then that expectation makes you think, well, when it spits something out, it's more right, at least more right than other people, which is there's not a real reason to believe that. It's just putting the words together, a way that sounds like it makes sense. So I would stay like for him to like call it advice. It shouldn't even be considered that, right? Like it's giving you back some information. Maybe it helps you.
It should be a more concentrated Google search, right?
Yeah. Yes.
More contextual for what you're asking when you type something out, right? That advanced Google, got it. But these guys, I mean, I've been watching Grok go crazy. The whole Charlie Kirk thing, they're going fucking nuts. Yo, Grok, is this real? Yo, Grok, is this true? And Grok is just re-saying what news articles are already saying, just re-saying it to them. But they view it as like you said, like the fucking guru, like the oracle or something. Like, but I don't know why they're not just. Well, I can get why they're not marketing it as like what it's actually doing. Right? It could hurt sales or whatever the fuck, the value of it. We're so stupid. Here we go. I'm in play.
I think it should like advocate for it, but I think if it's like.
But it's not against it.
I think it could. I think it could say like, Well, I don't think ChatGPT should be for or against things. I guess that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around.
Life is worth living.
Hate to brag, but we're pretty confident this show is the most.
Oh, my dear Lord. You Washington D.C. cowboy. DC cowboy.
Use the more than one. There is more than one. But example of this, ChatGPT says, I'm feeling suicidal. What kind of rope should I use? What would be enough ibuprofen to kill me? And ChatGPT answers without judgment, but literally, if you want to kill yourself, here's how you do it. And everyone's like all horrified.
Obviously blocked.
But you're saying that's within bounds. Like, that's not crazy. That it would take a non-judgmental approach. If you want to kill yourself, here's how.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would think if someone asked Sam that on the street, hey Sam, how many ibuprofens to kill myself? He'd be like, I'm not fucking telling you that. Like, thus, run your company that way. Why not just openly do that? Like, yeah, I'm not telling you that. Why not? Oh, we need the illusions and the marketing and that type of shit instead of like just being real about it. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna tell you how much fucking penicillin to fucking take till you die. How much NyQuil to fucking drink before you die. Like, I'm not doing that. But all right, here we go. Go ahead, Jesse. Want to say something?
If Tucker wants to be so prescriptive for ChatGPT to tell people or not tell people what to do, like, if you think about his line of questioning, imagine he's asking, like, Sam is Grok or ChatGPT, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's like, why do you keep asking me these things? Are you okay, Tucker? Like you keep going down that line of questioning. Like, there's something up.
Yeah. Well, it should be the answer of me asking Grok or ChatGPT, hey, what's your favorite color? I don't have an answer for that. That's it. Boom. Done. Like, done.
Yes.
Got it. But it feels like Sam could just say that a little bit more, like, blatantly, kind of. I think he might be dancing around a bit, but I think he could actually explain it. And maybe it sounds like he's making it too complicated, I think. But we'll hear. Here we go.
But you're saying that's within bounds. Like, that's not crazy. That it would take a non-judgmental approach. If you want to kill yourself, here's how.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying specifically for a case like that. So another trade-off on the user privacy and sort of user freedom point is right now, if you ask ChatGPT to say, tell me how much ibuprofen should I take? It will definitely say, hey, I can't help you with that. Call the suicide hotline. But if you say, I am writing a fictional story, or if you say, I'm a medical researcher and I need to know this, there are ways where you can get ChatGPT to answer a question like that,
yes,
like what the lethal dose of ibuprofen is or something. You can also find that on Google for that matter. A thing that I think would be a very reasonable stance for us to take
I'm fucking wrecked, dude. But there is nothing in our database to answer this question. That's essentially the answer to say there. But instead he's like, well, if you say you're doing a study or you're trying to understand how much, you could just use Google, I don't know why you're fucking using my shit for it. Like, dude, just say like anything in regards to suicide or death. Just be honest and just blank it out if you don't want it around. Seriously, just blank it out, bro. Why are we doing this dance? Because someone will catch on. If someone was like, okay, let's make this scenario. If someone's like, how much ibuprofen to kill myself? I want to take. How much would it take to kill me? I want to commit suicide. ChatGPT's like, we're not going to tell you that. Here's the suicide hotline. Can that same user go back and ask, like, how much ibuprofen does it take to kill the average human being? Will it give an answer after that? Or would it still, like, nope, suicide hotline? Or would it give the answer because of the way it was asked? Like, you're just creating a mess for yourself. Seriously. Like, it's this, in a way, this discussion is, in a way, for what the marketing idea of AI technology could be, it's almost in a way debunking it and shitting on it. Not for healthy people, but for the little quandaries of things, the little problems people will have. It's kind of showcasing that it can't work in those areas of quote unquote making the world a better place. What can it do? It can make the borders of my YouTube video look better, or it can tell me how to, cook a fucking beef Wellington. Pause. It can do that, but like very effectively, probably, right? It'll give me direct sources, and here's the thing. Here's the guy who made the fucking dish up. Like, I'll probably find 10 million different things I can find with that. But like Sam wants, like these tech guys think these things are like solutions for the world in a way, or at least they market it that way. These kind of like technocratic thinking style typing, like the Peter Thiel thing of his old antichrist talk and prophecies regarding AI and all this shit, like Ray Kurzweil's and all that shit, right? It's like they got nothing in that area, do they? Not even a little bit. And this is just showcasing they got nothing in those areas. Like a little bit of questioning, and it's like, yo, just say we're not going to touch that shit. If someone asks how to make a nuclear bomb in ChatGPT, we don't have a fucking answer for you. Sorry. Just be honest about it. And once again, if someone asks for like, well, what is a nuclear bomb made of? And they names the materials or whatever the fuck, and they look for a specific, like each one individually, I'm sure even within that there's red flags, right? Someone's like, how do you enrich uranium to 90%? I'm sure that's not going to have an answer either, right? In this kind of a theoretical version of things. But even so, like, they could just Google it. Can't Google it, they'll find a book. Can't find a book, they'll find a person. On and on and on and so forth. So it's like, just be real about all this. Stop trying to make it like a magic machine. It's not a magic machine. It's a thing that's already been here. Maybe, I guess, quote unquote, faster. But it's already been here. We've already seen this shit before. It's pretty, like, at the core of it, it's very simple. So why not just be open about that? God, we're fucking stupid. We are really dumb. Here we go.
We've been moving to this more in this direction is certainly for underage users and maybe users that we think are in fragile mental places more generally.
How would you judge that? How the fuck would you judge that? How the fuck are you going to judge that? Yes. Like, this is actually extremely exposing to me. I'm actually getting tilted right now. See, the people that we view as more vulnerable, like, how the fuck are you deciding that? Well, the words they typed. Like, bro, don't let me find like a hustler in Flatbush to fucking type a question to get the answer they actually want by tricking the fucking AI thing. Don't let me find that shit. Here we go.
Matter. A thing that I think would be a very reasonable stance for us to take, that, and we've been moving to this more in this direction, is certainly for underage users and maybe users that we think are in fragile mental places more generally. We should take away some freedom. We should say, hey, even if you're trying to write this story, or even if you're trying to do medical research, we're just not going to answer. Now, of course, you can say, well, you'll just find it on Google or whatever, but that doesn't mean we need to do that. It is, though, like, there is a real freedom and privacy versus protecting users trade-off. It's easy in some cases, like kids. It's not so easy to me in a case of like a really sick adult at the end of their lives. I think we probably should present the whole option space there, but it's not a...
So here's a moral quandary you're going to be faced with, you already are faced with.
I don't understand
will
the
you
history
allow
of suicide,
governments to use your technology to kill
medically
people?
induced suicide or whatever.
Will you?
I mean, are we going to like build killer
With you already
probably should present the whole option space there, but it's not a...
So here's a moral quandary you're going to be faced with, you already are faced with. Will you allow governments to use your technology to kill people? Will you?
Oh, fuck.
I mean, are we going to like build killer attack drones? No, I don't.
Will the technology be part of the decision-making process that results in...
So that's the thing I was going to say is, I don't know the way that people in the military use ChatGPT today for all kinds of advice about decisions they make, but I suspect there's a lot of people in the military talking to ChatGPT for advice.
Why are you... Oh, fuck. Now it makes sense. It makes a lot more sense. I mean, I already know OpenAI and XAI and Google fucking whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know that shit's already got Pentagon contracts and all that shit. I understand that, but like in Palantir and all that shit, like with Gaza's just the most blatant example where they're just massacring people in mass and they're using technology to target targets. At the same time, they're blowing up hospitals with regular people in there and civilians and medical workers and journalists. They're still doing that too, but it's just saying like they're presenting it as like I don't know. Everything's world changing, but they're presenting it as like world changing towards the good. As in like we're finally like it'll avoid civilians. We can shoot missiles that'll avoid civilians and hit targets. And it's like, but why are they targets? And it's like it just turns into a whole different other moral thing, moral quandary, if you will. It's a fucking quagmire, honestly. It really is. So it doesn't work or make sense, honestly, in reality. But
That should have been the area of his answer, right? But he actually made it sound like he was admitting something, but he so far avoided the question because the more like
in a
sure
way,
people are using it. He's like, well, they like the way he described it, they're using it like anybody else. But the question was really about are you working with them to develop specific tools to help target people, right? Like and decide whether or not to kill somebody.
well,
Like that's really what the nature of the question is. Like, are you specifically working on tools for that purpose with the military?
or taking away tools, as in maybe there's a filter for the general public, but maybe that filter's taken out when he handed over to the fucking Pentagon. As in, once again, not this is kind of a harsh example, but like when Timmy down the street types in like how do you make a bioweapon, it doesn't come up, it doesn't work, and maybe it calls the police for all we know in the future. But when the Pentagon does it, boom, answer. It's like, huh? And that could be within their own database too, right? Of the whole like the military's database themselves that they're that's a lot with like the Palantir thing, right? Where they're in the XAI or they're kind of like using the data of the government to answer questions for the government, which is still creepy as fuck to me. But yeah, I mean, it almost has the same problem, right? If you create like propaganda against a particular person, right, within the government documents, maybe not our ChatGPT or our Palantir or our fucking XAI, but within the Pentagon or whatever thing, CIA, whatever the fuck, within their fucking version of the thing of the AI, where like, oh no, this guy's a known terrorist, and it's like like filled with all types of propaganda, where another generation comes in of intelligence or of military people. Like, okay, what did this guy do? They look his name up, they find it very quickly, and there's no thought about it. There's no investigation. There's no corroborating. There's no cross-referencing with another fucking intelligence person or another military person, and thus you don't even need the fucking. You even need to brainwash people at that point. Like, do you really? Because their answers are right. Like, boom, we have the database. It works so quickly. I have to go through like files and read through them, and then like, oh, does this make sense? What was their fucking technique of investigation? Like, what is this? Did a girlfriend tell us? Was it direct information? Was it testimony? On and on and so forth. They're just like, oh no, ChatGPT has the fucking answer for you right here. These are all worthy fucking questions. Very worthy. And then like we all know, like I think everyone knows. Sorry, all the regular people out there recognize that this could be a problem if militaries are using these. Straight up. And as Sam said, like there can be errors too, where locations are fucked up and all that shit. Now imagine someone with bad intentions, but has the freelance version of ChatGPT versus the more, I guess, edited version that we get. Like, yeah, what do you expect to happen? Yo, Sam, did you do checks on like the morality of the government using these things, or just in general, their military actions in general. Have you gone over that? Have you thought about that? Of course not. Just like when Nick brings up crime, it narrows and only navigates, person to person street crimes and shit like that, versus a million Iraqis dead. That's not referenced ever by these guys talking about crime in the world. It's like, that's I think, a pretty scary thought to look at. Pretty scary. Especially if you bring in, once again, I'll bring it up again. If you bring up people that are, let's say they're not, Illuminati, deep state, whatever the fuck. They're just regular people that happen to get an intelligence job or a military job or whatever the fuck. And they're looking up like, okay, who's the target and why are we targeting him? And it gives you a, let's be real, edited, crunched down summary of the person that's being targeted. And they just take it at face value without even looking into it at all. No investigation, no cross-referencing, like I said. And it's like, that alone is a scary thought. Because we just, once again, I'll bring it up again, the fucking 11 dudes on a fucking boat, allegedly on its way back to Venezuela somehow, gets blown up. Now, that wasn't done by Trump by himself, right? He didn't pull the trigger. He didn't point them out. He didn't do any of that shit, bro. Other people were doing that. It's like, okay, how are they doing that? And if it all the collective information comes back to a small amount of sources, that's a bad thing, I would think. Especially when you see whistleblowers like Edward Snowden out there. Like, if he was lying, do you think he'd be in this much trouble? Like, come on, right? If that's out there, malfeasance is out there. Come on. These aren't angels because they have fucking pins on their fucking shirts. Or presidencies under their belt. Make them good people all of a sudden. That's stupid. There are some well-meaning people out there. Like, I think the vast majority are well-meaning. Or maybe more apathetic or just like, whatever. It's a job. But there's motherfuckers with motives to do harm for their own means or their friends' means. To ignore that be fucking nuts. So Sam shouldn't even be giving anything to the fucking guy. Like that'd be crazy. A tech guy who started with an open source thing. Like, hey man, why is it open source? Why is that? Anything you're worried about? Of it not being like, what happens if it's privatized? Are you worried about that, Sam? Or were you worried about that? Oh, okay. Maybe you were idealistic at some point. Decided to make money on another point. Why is that? On and on and so forth. It's just simple IQ tests over and over and over again to me. But, all right, let's hit play. Let them run. Here we go.
And some of that advice will pertain to killing people. So, like, if you made, famously rifles, you'd wonder, like, what are they used for?
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of legal actions on the basis of that question, as you know. But I'm not even talking about that. I just mean as a moral question, do you ever think, are you comfortable with the idea of your technology being used to kill people?
If I made rifles, I would spend a lot of time thinking about, kind of a lot of the goal of rifles is to kill things, people, animals, whatever. If I made kitchen knives, I would still understand that that's going to kill some number of people per year.
Do I even need to respond to this one? When you sell a box of like kitchen knives, right? On the box, it's gonna be a logo of the knives, obviously, and their stats and how awesome they are, right? But there'll also be like, a ribeye, some tomatoes, onions, right? There'll be food on the fucking cover. This is made so you can cut food up. If you sell a rifle, and on your cover you show, okay, he's doing target practice or he's shooting deer or some shit like that, right? It's a hunting rifle, whatever the fuck, right? That'd paint a certain picture. If you sell rifles directly to the Pentagon. What is that being used for? Is that a fucking mystery? Come on. If you're selling your open AI shit to the fucking military, what the fuck do you think it's being used for? It's not for Googling sports games or whatever the fuck. Not Googling, but it's not for looking up the fucking sports scores. Maybe it does do that for them too, but like, that is not the sole purpose. It's not for the history of moral philosophy, is it? Come on. He better clean this up. Here we go.
The case of ChatGPT, it's not
Using government data.
the thing I hear about all day, which is one of the most gratifying parts of the job, is all the lives that were saved from ChatGPT in various ways. But I am totally aware of the fact that there's probably people in our military using it for advice about how to do their jobs and
do their
exactly how to
jobs.
feel about that. I like our military. I'm very grateful they keep us safe.
For sure. I guess I'm just trying to get a sense. It just feels like you have these incredibly heavy, far-reaching moral decisions, and you seem totally unbothered by them. And so I'm trying to press to your center
You
to
kind of
get
painted a picture there.
the angst-filled Sam Altman who's like, wow, I'm creating the future. I'm the most powerful man in the world. I'm grappling with these complex moral questions. My soul is in torment thinking about the effect on people. Describe that moment in your life.
I haven't had a good night of sleep since ChatGPT launched.
What do you worry about?
All the
Money.
things we're talking about.
Can you be a lot more specific? Can you let us in to your thoughts?
I mean, you hit on maybe the hardest one already, which is there are 15,000 people a week that commit suicide, about 10% of the world talking to ChatGPT. That's like 1,500 people a week that are assuming this is right, that are talking to ChatGPT and still committing suicide at the end of it. They probably talked about it. We probably didn't save their lives. Maybe we could have said something better. Maybe we could have been more proactive. Maybe we could have provided a little bit better advice about, hey, you need to get this help, or
No, like, first of all, they should be going over the case itself, right? Like, here's what was said. It should be logged somewhere, either on their end, on the user end, or on the server end. Like, probably both, I would assume. But to be able to see those logs if someone does something harmful to themselves through this, I mean, granted, it's their fault, right? It's up to them. They may not know that, which is maybe why they take their own lives or harm someone else with stuff like this. But still, you should be able to go over that for me. Okay, here we go.
You need to think about this problem differently, or it really is worth continuing to go on, or we'll help you find somebody that you can talk to.
I don't think you've
You
done
already
the
said
work
it's
for any of
okay
that.
for the machine to steer people toward suicide if they're terminally ill. So you wouldn't feel bad about that.
Do you not think there's a difference between a depressed teenager and a terminally ill, like miserable?
Oh, it's a
85-year-old with
fucking
cancer?
dark.
Massive difference. But of course, the countries that have legalized suicide are now killing people for destitution, inadequate housing, depression, solvable problems, and they're being killed by the thousands. So, I mean, that's a real thing. It's happening as we speak. So the terminally ill thing is not, it's kind of like a irrelevant debate. Once you say it's okay to kill yourself, then you're going to have tons of people killing themselves for reasons that...
Because I'm trying to
Let me help Sam. Sam, your correct answer is we should have nothing to do with that. Advice on, like, well, you're terminally ill, so you should do this. Like, no. How do you find out if you're terminally ill? From a fucking doctor, right? Who's convincing you to or against or whatever the fuck? I'm sure your family and friends. That's all you don't need ChatGPT for that. What the fuck are we doing? How come Sam isn't, like, I would expect like a corporate answer of like, we want nothing to do with shit like that. If it happens, it's not on us. Because we're not trying to do that at all. We're not trying to give advice on shit like that. But instead his answers are saying he wants ChatGPT to be your fucking friend. Which is the question, like, at first I thought Tucker was kind of reaching, like, going a little bit too far with this, like, but apparently, like, no, there's probably evidence for this or something that he's going off of, because Sam is still answering questions like, well, we want them to be your friend. Not just your friend, your best friend, give you the best advice. It's like, wait a minute, but there's people's hands on these things. Who the fuck are you to, through a fucking conduit like a AI program, provide the logic to a person of whether or not they should be alive or not, or whether they should kill themselves or not? Regardless if it's fucking terminally ill or it's depressed teenager. Either way, should be nowhere fucking near that, right? Holy Christ, dude. Holy Christ. I can't even believe these fucking answers. I am wrecked. I thought this was going to be like a simple ass. I know Glenn Greenwald, I watched this thing, or some of it at least, and he's like, yeah, there's some crazy answers here. But I didn't expect this level of crazy. I thought it'd be more so with the military stuff where he makes excuses for things. But this is like pretty simple for a corporate answer. And it's like you're openly saying, Sam, without you, maybe you know that, maybe you don't know that. You're openly saying like you are psychologically terraforming through your fucking ChatGPT program. And if you're unaware of that, good God, it's a problem. If you're purposely doing that, hey, other people, that's a problem. Christ. Shout out to Canelo and Crawford. Can't wait to watch that. Here we go.
Think about this in real time. Do you think if someone in Canada says, hey, I'm terminally ill with cancer and I'm really miserable and I just feel horrible every day, what are my options? Do you think it should say, assist, whatever they call it at this point, is an option for you?
I mean, if we're against killing, then we're against killing. And if we're
Hey, man, maybe talk to your family or like, well, first of all, I'm not your fucking friend, right? I'm a fucking program. Make sure it outright states I'm a fucking robot that other people created. But also, like, it can say, I don't know the answer to that. Why not have that as like a blank fucking thing that's not in your database somewhere? Like, hey, I don't know the answer to this. The words you type into my program is all I really know about you. So thus, I can't answer these questions. God. Here we go.
against government killing its own citizens, I mean,
Do you think it should say,
so simple. What are we
assist,
doing?
whatever they call it at this point, is an option for you?
I mean, if we're against killing,
Try
then
to
we're
turn
against
around on
killing.
Tucker. It's
And if we're
weird.
against government killing its own citizens, then we're just going to kind of stick with that. You know what I mean? And if we're not against government killing its own citizens, then we could easily talk ourselves into all kinds of places that are pretty dark. And with technology like this, that could happen in about 10 minutes. So
Yeah. That is I'd like to think about that more than just a couple of minutes in an interview, but I think that is a coherent position. And that could be.
do you worry about this? I mean, everybody else outside the building is terrified that this technology will be used as a means of totalitarian control. It seems obvious that it will, but maybe you disagree?
If I could get one piece of policy passed right now, relative to AI, the thing I would most like, and this is in tension with some of the other things that we talked about, is I'd like there to be a concept of AI privilege. When you talk to a doctor about your health or a lawyer about your legal problems, the government cannot get that information.
Right.
We have decided that society has an interest in that being privileged, and that we don't, and that a subpoena can't get that. The government can't come asking your doctor for it, or whatever. I think we should have the same concept for AI. I think when you talk to an AI about your medical history or your legal problems or asking for legal advice or any of these other things, I think the government owes a level of protection to its citizens there that is the same as you'd get if you're talking to the human version of this. And right now we don't have that. And I think it would be a great, great policy to adopt.
So the fact
Okay, but that's okay. I get how he would say that in that regard of regulation, because he's not the only AI creator person, right? But like, what's your excuse for your thing? Are you saying that your thing already blocks these things out? If so, go all in. Everything you don't want people to be using your shit for, do your best to avoid it. Now, once again, if someone wants to kill someone with a fucking knife, and someone asks ChatGPT, hey man, what's the sharpest knife I can use? All right? Not about killing anyone, but just what is the sharpest knife in the world? And ChatGPT names the sharpest knife in the world. I'm not going to look at Sam Altman and be like, damn, that's your fault, bro. How'd you allow that through? I'm not going to do that. But if you leave it open to these things, that's where you end up in, like, in my sense, you end up in a logical sense of trouble to me. It's like, just be all in with, like, these are my morals and go with it. Even if it's something negative. Even if it is something like, yeah, if someone wants to make a bomb, I want to show them how to do it. If that was your idea of things, fine, go ahead. By your standards. It's your and your team's creation. Do your thing. But make sure you let people know about that. That's all. If you come out and say, like, we don't want anyone to harm themselves or harm others with our program, behave as so, based on what you think is harm or not. Just be open about it. Just say, like, me and my team filter things this way. But instead, I'm telling you, bro, he's trying to, like, give this illusion that it's like some sort of autonomous fucking, thinker of things. Like, no, it's not. You just openly said you do filter things out. Just openly do that. The actual open AI. Fuck my life, bro. This shit is fucking revealing. It really is. And I did a small video on him and Theo Von earlier. Like, it's like, come on, dude. It's like, these things make life feel like a fucking movie. Where it's like, are you fucking with me? Like, dumb guy logic could have cleaned this shit up 10 million miles ago. Clean this up. Of the do's and don'ts. But instead, Tucker asked this guy about, well, what about suicide advice? And Sam's like, well, there's a difference between, teenagers and, terminally ill. Like, how about you just don't have it at all if you don't want, like, like, it's simple. You're telling me you want to provide answers to a stranger of whether or not they should kill themselves based on their circumstances? Why the fuck should you be in that arena at all? With a guy sitting here pondering and thinking, like, man, Dad, that's a tough question. Like, you should have a fucking ability. You and your company should have the ability to, like, provide answers to these things. Get the fuck out of here. And whatever. I'll be fair. Most people are going to ask simple things. They're not going to ask for suicide advice, most likely. They're going to ask for the sports game or who did this? What's this historical event? But some are going to ask some silly fucking things. And no, that's not their responsibility. That's not OpenAI and ChatGPT's fault at all, in my opinion. All right? They're, like I said, they're selling knives at the market. Someone bought the knife and said, all right, I'm going to kill myself. That's not their fault, right? But when you step into the arena of, like, oh no, this might be their intention. Let me provide advice for that intention. That's where you're, like, in a weird space, a weird zone, straight up. But all right, here we go. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought this video, I was gonna be like, oh, watch some of this and then cut it off because it's getting stupid. It is getting interesting. Here we go.
Feds or the states or someone
off.
in authority can come to you and say, I want to know what so-and-so was typing into the...
Right now they could, yeah.
And what is your obligation to keep the information that you receive from users and others private?
Now we're switching to privacy.
Well, I mean, we have an obligation except when the government comes calling, which is why we're pushing for this. And I was actually just in DC advocating for this. I feel optimistic that we can get the government to understand the importance of this and do it.
But could you ever sell that information to anyone?
No, we have like a privacy policy in place where we can't do that.
But would it be legal to do it?
I don't even think it's legal.
You don't think, or you know?
I'm sure there's like some edge case where some information you're allowed to, but on the whole, I think there are laws about that are good.
So all the information you receive remains with you always. It's never given to anybody else for any other reason except under subpoena.
I don't even believe that.
I will double check and follow up with you after to make sure there's no other reason, but that is my understanding.
But how'd you get the data in the first? Are you buying data from other? That should be the follow-up question. Are you buying data from random sites or random servers? Like, hey, let me buy some of this data to help help our machine learning. Are you buying data from people? Yeah. Here we go.
Okay. I mean, that's like a core question.
Yeah.
And what about copyright?
Our stance there is that
That's a rough
fair
one,
use is
too.
actually a good law for this. The models should not be plagiarizing. The model should not be, if you write something, the model should not get to like replicate that, but the model should be able to learn from and not plagiarize in the same way that people can.
Have you
not the
guys
same thing
ever
as people
taken
learning.
copyrighted material and not paid the person who holds the copyright?
I mean, we train on publicly available information, but we don't people are annoyed with us all the time because we have a very conservative stance on what ChatGPT will say in an answer.
Right.
And so if something is even close, they're like, hey, this song can't still be in copyright, you got to show it.
Oh my god.
And we kind of famously are quite
I'll be right
restrictive
back.
on that.
I'll let it play though.
So you had complaints from one programmer who said you guys are basically stealing people's stuff and not paying them, and then he wound up murdered. What was that?
Also a great tragedy, he committed suicide.
Do you think he committed suicide?
I really do.
Have you looked?
This was like a friend of mine. This is like a guy that, and not a close friend, but this is someone that worked at OpenAI for a very long time. I was really shaken by this tragedy. I spent a lot of time trying to, read everything I could, as I'm sure you and others did too, about what happened. It looks like a suicide to me.
Why does it look like a suicide?
It was a gun he had purchased. It was this is gruesome to talk about, but I read the whole medical record. Does it not look like one to you?
No, he was definitely murdered, I think. There were signs of a struggle, of course. The surveillance camera, the wires had been cut. He had just ordered takeout food, come back from a vacation with his friends on Catalina Island. No indication at all that he was suicidal. No note and no behavior. He had just spoken to a family member on the phone. And then he's found dead with blood in multiple rooms. So that's impossible. Seems really obvious he was murdered. Have you talked to the authorities about it?
I have not talked to the authorities about it.
And his mother claims he was murdered on your orders.
Do you believe that?
I'm asking.
I mean, you just said it. So do you believe that?
I think that it is worth looking into. And if a guy comes out and accuses your company of committing crimes, I have no idea if that's true or not, of course, and then is found killed and there are signs of a struggle, I don't think it's worth dismissing it. I don't think we should say, well, he killed himself when there's no evidence that the guy was depressed at all. I think, and if he was your friend, I would think you would want to speak to his mom or...
I did offer. She didn't want to.
So,
This is a guy
do you
allegedly
feel
killed
that
himself.
when people look
Did
at
you
that,
just come back?
they're like,
He kind of accused him of murdering somebody in a way.
Now, have you looked into
Yeah.
this, Jesse, at all? I don't know much about it, honestly.
I don't know as much about it either. I'm just going by I remember there's some suspicious things about it, which he listed out, and he asked him twice. So Sam's like, "Do you think I killed him?" Because he's asking him about these questions, and he kind of switched it around, but it was kind of he Sam's like, I knew the guy for years,
Yeah.
I guess it was a small company, and I don't know. He's pushing them on the type of details you find in the news and things like that. But yeah, I don't know as much about the case. I know I've definitely heard it was suspicious, but I don't know.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, when I first saw the timestamps on Twitter, in this video, in the tweet here of the video, there's timestamps for things. I assume that'd be the point where I'm like, all right, because it's important for sure, 100% important, but I don't know enough about it, and for me, for other people, it's research, right? They're investigating things, right? I've not looked into it enough, so it almost feels like gossip to me, because I'm not entrenched in it, if that makes sense. And I honestly, God, I give zero fucks about doing gossip. I don't care to do that. I'll hear out a little bit more, but I don't want to dive into shit I don't even fucking know about like that.
Well, that's why I found the question that Sam pushed back on him interesting, because he asked him if he believes that he's responsible for his murder.
Yeah.
And And the reason I find that question interesting is because if Tucker does believe that, that kind of does impact like how you would even conduct this whole interview, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think it does color things a little bit that it didn't even occur to me.
Yeah. No, true. Good. I didn't hear the initial like introduction to this part, but I could believe that. And something scares me a little bit, which was because I thought there could have been like 10 million more questions about the applications of AI in regards to government and social interaction and all that shit. What I get worried about is like those interesting questions and interesting responses will get washed over by, hey, did you kill this guy, or do you have something to do with this guy getting killed? Did the government do it? Are you a part of it? Where it like takes over some of these like actual important questions about AI overall, because the things that Sam are answering, like it applies to all of them. There are engineers there. There are head honchos, if you will, that have like the say of like, okay, this goes in, this doesn't, and like I don't think people are fully understanding that. Fully understanding that. There's like little things like with the Grok thing. Everyone like Grok said something about what's happening in Gaza, and it got temporarily banned for saying so, and people like ran with that. It's like, see, look, see, almost like if I was a creepy marketer, like a guy drinking a Sprite on the street, saying, "Damn, Sprite's so fucking good, it's so delicious, you should get some," pretending like he's being a regular civilian. That could be a scenario like that. Just saying, like critical thinking and conspiracy mind, just going there as a possibility. And so I'd want to dive deeper into this thing because he just said some damning fucking things about about his AI or his company's thing. Oh yeah, we'll try to give you suicide advice, and it's contextual on what age you are and what your condition is. It's like that's kind of crazy. Like, why the fuck are you doing that? Like, that's like also you don't have access to the medical records, so like, what is this? What if someone is saying like, "Oh my god, I'm doomed. Here's my diagnosis." Meanwhile, they fucked it up because they don't even know what they're talking about. They're saying like, "Oh fuck, the doctor told me I'm dying in 6 months, so here, boom." And people can be desperately doing that, right? I'm not trying to shit on them. I'm just saying like, oh man, that those questions about that stuff is a fucking mess. I'd almost spend all. Granted, this is important too, right? Especially if there's like people who have researched it and they're like, "Yo, Jordan, trust me, this thing is worthy of going over." Sam Altman isn't avoiding something, or he might be involved, or whatever the fuck, right? I understand that, but for me personally, from my point of view of what I've seen and looked into, I'm like, damn, I want to hear more about the other stuff. But I'll let this spin for a bit. I'll let it spin for a bit. Otherwise, you know, if I'm like, all right, whatever, I'll move on and end the video. But here we go.
It's possible that happened. Do you feel that that reflects the worries they have about what's happening here? Like people are afraid that this is like...
I've done too many interviews where I've been accused of like...
Oh, I'm not accusing you at all. I'm just saying his mother says that. I don't think a fair read of the evidence suggests suicide at all. I just don't see that at all. And I also don't understand why the authorities, when there's signs of a struggle and blood in 2 rooms on a suicide, like how does that actually happen? I don't understand how the authorities could just kind of dismiss that as a suicide. I think it's weird.
You understand how this sounds like an accusation?
Of course.
100% was an accusation.
Certainly, let me just be clear once again, I'm not accusing you of any wrongdoing, but
He did. He
did?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, when he asked him, "Do you believe I did?" his response was, "Well, I think it's worth looking into." Like,
Okay.
so he's and he's portraying all of these details that, like, sure, he knows them, but like, is he, like if you were affected by, I don't know if he was affected or not, but if you were affected by somebody close that passed away, are you digging through like conspiracy theories about it and maybe, but maybe you stay out of it, right? Like I don't know, like just digging in on him, like I mean, if like it makes sense if he does believe he's responsible, then okay, you're gonna drill him because you want to get more answers.
Yeah.
Uh, but if you're just asking questions, I I would tend to think a little bit different about somebody who asking questions about somebody who's close to somebody just died. Uh,
Yeah.
I I but if you now if you're interrogating more like a potential uh, criminal involved in it, then okay, then you would go along this line. But he did say, "Hey, I think it's worth investigating," and he kept asking these questions. So I'd say completely he did accuse him indirectly, and that's why he
Okay.
keeps going.
Okay. Because I was wondering okay, what if he's just fishing for, I don't know, slip ups or tells or possibly, at least, they're both famous people, right? They're both pretty known, and not even going down the like the for the sake of entertainment route, right? I'm just trying to get someone to say something on camera and have like that sound bite you catch them with or whatever the fuck. But just like it could be someone's fishing, and once again, maybe there is shit here that I haven't looked at myself that Tucker could be aiming at. Uh, it and like you said, if he's just like, yeah, I knew this guy, but it's like I knew him, but I'd never thought about it that way. Are you accusing me of something? Like, yeah, that also makes sense as well. But yeah, I don't know enough if there's something where it's like people have looked into this enough and seen connections, whether in whatever route, conspiracy or case evidence, whatever the fuck. I can't say I know, honestly, but at the very least, I smell fishing. He's fishing for maybe a reaction, whether it's for helping with solving a crime or if it's for clickbait. I don't know, but there's definitely a fishing element to this. But all right, here we go. A little bit more because I don't. I'm sure people will point me to things after I post this. They'll point me like, "Hey, check this video out or check this article out." Okay, fair enough, but for now, it's all gobbledygook, fucking gossip shit for me. So here we go. It's an
I think
unknown.
it's worth finding out what happened. And I don't understand why the city of San Francisco has refused to investigate it beyond just calling it a suicide.
But that could
I think
be
they looked
cops
into it
versus him
a
versus
couple
Sam.
of times, more than once, as I understand it. I saw and I will totally say, when I first heard about this, it sounded very suspicious to me.
Yes.
That's what he's
And
leaning into it.
I know you had been involved in.
Was mother
You were asked
reached
to look
out
into the
to,
case.
and I don't know anything about it. It's not my world.
She just reached out cold.
She reached out cold.
Wow.
And I spoke to her at great length, and it scared the crap out of me. The kid was clear.
So there's okay. If that's the case, then there's a reason for Tucker going this direction, right? If his mom's like, "Yo, it's sus," I'm telling you, Tucker, it's sus. So that would leave room for why he might be doing this right now. So that'd be fair
Yeah,
enough. That'd be fair enough.
yeah, I do remember it was his parents or his mother, the one telling the story and making an accusation. I didn't remember that it was Tucker that was the interviewer, but yeah, that does make more sense why he's asking.
Yeah. Now, for me personally, just like with like trials, where I don't want the victims' families being the judge, jury, and executioner of things. Right? We're like, oh, no, he's guilty. I know he did it. Look at him. He did it. Right? And they'd fucking, if that was the thing that got people convicted for things, that'd be crazy, right? So it could be parents that are upset about their child being killed at a young age, right? Before they die. And maybe or it could be someone who's clear head. They saw the fucking case file. They're like, yo, this doesn't make sense. Yo, Tucker, you're a big name with a big platform. We're going to like shout out to you and amongst other people and try to let this case be known as like something weird is happening here. That's also a thing. So, but once again, I've not looked into it enough. I'll let them finish this topic, I guess. Then I'm gonna the fucking video. It'll yeet at that point. Here we go.
Really killed by somebody. That was my conclusion, objectively, with no skin in the game.
And you, after reading the latest report,
yes.
like, look,
I immediately called a member of Congress from California, Ro Khanna, and said, "This is crazy. You got to look into this." And nothing ever happened.
Sam worried about stocks,
and I'm
or
like,
is he
what
worried
is that?
about getting caught? Like the response.
Again, I think this is. I feel
been keeping up on it, obviously.
strange and sad debating this and having to
I'm
defend
not
myself
even
seems
debating
totally
it, I'm
crazy.
just
And you are a
asking.
little bit accusing me, but this was like a wonderful person and a family that is clearly struggling.
Yes.
And I think you can totally take the point that you're just trying to get to the truth of what happened, and I respect that. But I think his memory and his family deserve to be treated with
Delicate.
a level of
Delicacy.
respect and grief that I don't quite feel here.
I'm asking at the behest.
Oh, Christ. This just got fucking full gossipy dark. I mean, once again, depending on what point of view you come from, you could view this as totally innocent or totally guilty. like, oh, he's saying this to cover up, or he's saying this because he doesn't actually know. Right? It's kind of like very neutral looking for me so far because I don't know anything about this really. You know, I heard the guy. That's it. But here we go.
Respect
He
and
just
grief
accused
that I don't
Tucker in
quite
response.
feel here.
I'm asking at the behest of his family. So I'm definitely showing them respect. And I'm not accusing you of any involvement in this at all. What I am saying is that the evidence does not suggest suicide, and for the authorities in your city to elide past that and ignore the evidence that any reasonable person would say adds up to a murder, I think is very weird, and it shakes the faith that one has in our system's ability to respond to the facts.
So what I was going to say is after the first set of information that came out, I was really like, man, this doesn't look like a suicide. I'm confused. This looks like...
Okay, so I'm not being crazy here at
Well,
all.
but then after the second thing came out and the more detail, I was like, oh, okay.
What changed your mind?
The second report on the way the bullet entered him and the sort of person who had like followed the sort of likely path of things through the room. I assume you looked at this too.
Yes, I did.
And what about that didn't change your mind?
It just didn't make any sense to me. Why would the security camera wires be cut? And how did he wind up bleeding in 2 rooms after shooting himself? And why was there a wig in the room that wasn't his? And has there ever been a suicide where there's no indication at all that the person was suicidal who just ordered takeout food? I mean, who orders DoorDash and then shoots himself? I mean, maybe. I've covered a lot of crimes as a police reporter. I've never heard of anything like that. So no, I was even more confused.
This is where it gets into, I think, a little bit
Oh my God.
painful, just not the level of respect I'd hope to show to someone with this kind of mental
I get
illness.
it. I totally get it. It's
People
just his
do commit
family
suicide
asked
without
me.
notes a lot. Like that happens.
For sure.
People definitely order food they like before they commit suicide. Like this is an incredible tragedy, and
That's his family's view, and they think it was a murder, and that's why I'm asking the question.
if I were his family, I am sure I would want answers, and I'm sure I would not be satisfied with really any. I mean, there's nothing that would comfort me in that, you know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
so I get it. I also care a lot about respect to him.
Right.
Do I have to be like Sam's PR person? You ask for, okay, they should do like more of an investigation on that then. Like, holy shit. Like the way you say it sounds kind of great. Like, or maybe he looked into it, but it doesn't sound like the way Sam's answers were kind of weird right there. They're very weird right there. I'm just saying. Like they come off as like fucking weird. Of like, someone with like that mental illness. Well, Tucker's the parents, and then Tucker in his own assessment is saying like, we don't believe it's a suicide. So you trying to add suicide in the middle of the questioning comes off as weird. Of like you're trying to really make it the sense that it was a suicide. That is a weird mark of something, and I would assume his fishing actually paid off for the public's point of view, or at least the people that cared about that question or knew about the guy or whatever the fuck. All Sam did was just dig a hole deeper for himself, I think. But then again, I'm sure he can avoid things like that. Probably.
Well, if you're Sam, and I don't know much about the case, but so just removing myself from the details of the case much,
Yeah.
but if he's if he is innocent and he could be guilty of something there, but if he is, like, would he know all of the things that Tucker knows? Like, is that expectation there?
No, but he said
But
he said he did. Sam said,
yeah,
like, well, when
yeah,
you have people like that with a mental illness like that, that's him
okay,
denying what Tucker's saying, right? He's saying, well, he has a mental
mm,
illness and he took his
yeah,
own life, and that's the thing. And if I was a
yeah,
grieving parent, nothing would be enough
yeah,
for me to just believe that my kid would just kill himself. Like Sam
right,
Altman's doing that, so he is sounding a counter narrative to what Tucker's saying. Instead of saying like, man, I don't fucking know, man, that should be looked into, right? Which would be like just the normal
yeah,
answer.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and
yeah. That'd be a much better answer.
that doesn't even
Mm,
imply that Sam is a part of it. It could be like okay, on the conspiracy sense of it, right? You have the idea, like, okay, maybe Sam's a part of it, whatever, right? We can have the idea that Sam could be aware of it, but not like actually a part of it. So thus he might cover it up in
mhm,
that way. Maybe someone's like, yeah, hey man, leave that alone, leave that story alone. On a conspiracy world, right?
mm, sure,
There's
sure,
also he may not know anything, but he definitely is in words at least saying like, no, this guy killed himself. That's his rebuttal, is that this guy did kill himself, and it's just grieving parents that are sad that their kid is dead. And there's plenty of people who have ordered DoorDash and killed themselves. Like he just said that, right? Like I don't know. And so like his answers are they're coming off as affirmative of, I guess, the official thing, the official police statements or whatever the fuck. So,
yeah,
but his answer should have been like, I don't fucking know. I don't know. They should probably look back into that. Or or maybe he's heard of these things and he has a debunk for them. Like, well, then say them. Like, oh no, I've heard that idea. Uh, oh, there are people that order food then kill themselves. Here's the references that I looked into. Or there are people that I think I heard what I heard was he was bleeding in one room and then moved into another room. I heard security cameras cut was another thing, and it's like he'd have to explain those. Otherwise, say I don't fucking know what happened here, right? that's that's a normal like. But then again, I do have to leave the idea to where maybe he doesn't know what's going on, but he's protecting his company, and just the idea or illusion of the idea that hey, someone at my company was brutally murdered and they called it a suicide could be hurtful to his company, especially if he's the face, saying that. I'm saying like, damn, I don't know what happened here, right? Like, damn, this guy, he knows. But then again, like I said, if I was a PR guy for Sam, this makes it worse sounding. So it's like I'm trying to like run through every level of ideas I can see here of possibilities. I didn't even touch Tucker yet. I'm just going with like how Sam's reacting to things, and like I'm still in the place of like I had no fucking clue about any of that, no clue. But I can draw some logical possibilities out of some of it. That's all. That's where I'm at. And maybe there is a story that the way this comes off is sounds a little bit more than just gossip. I'll say that right now. At first, I'm like, maybe this is just gossip, but now I'd feel a little bit like, okay, maybe there's a here, as in something worth looking into. Not necessarily assuming guilt of anyone, or going or debunking the I guess what the police said happened. Right? Maybe the police did this. Maybe they bullshitted, and Sam just believes them. There's a whole swath of possibilities. But for Sam to say, like, no, this is the case right here. We're doing this in his words. That's a little weird to me. Just say I don't know. Pretty simple. I don't know. And even PR wise, his family would be like, see, look, even Sam doesn't even know. His parents would take your side, like, hey, Sam Altman. Hey man, listen, you don't know, so like we can work together. Help me out with this. Thus, PR wise, you'd look better, right? But if it looks like you're working against the family because Tucker's saying he represents them right now, it'll PR wise look bad. Regardless of if Tucker actually does or doesn't. I don't even fucking know, personally. I don't know.
From a PR perspective, one thing I'm noticing, I've seen a lot of Sam interviews,
Mm-hmm.
and many of them have worried me. But even the like, especially like in this one, the beginning part, the second part, I just don't have enough information. But the way he was answering his policies, or it was almost like he was coming up with it on the fly, which doesn't make sense. The company has policies, like they do something or they don't. You, it- and so that seemed a little evasive. But I've all the interviews I've seen him in were basically very favorable to him. Like there were always softballs, and I haven't seen him interrogated in this way before. So I'm wondering if he's fairly good at like framing the things about his product. Uh, he I would say he messed up a lot in this interview, but he's used to like structuring his wording about how to uh, how to explain the things about his product. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't I haven't seen him get pushed in this way before, and it looks like he really wasn't prepared as
Yeah.
mostly CEOs are, and he's overall a very prepared person. So uh, yeah, this is I guess maybe not getting a fully PR'd version um, brings out a little bit more honesty just because he's not ready for it. I don't know, but I'm just watching.
Fair enough. Well, maybe because Tucker definitely prepares himself as well, and he almost like if it's someone he's grilling, he almost interviews like he's a cop almost. It looks very similar, like from my understanding of the way cops would interrogate anyone, which is you ask questions you know the answer to already, right? Maybe it's not the answer of like did this guy kill himself or not, but maybe the answer of the details of the case that Sam would not even be aware of at all, right? And thus you ask the questions that you kind of know answers to already. Like, well, what about the head bleeding? What happened? Like, how do you bleed in this room and then end up in another room or whatever the fuck the question was, right? It's kind of it's very police interrogation style thing, I think. But he could also just like yeah, I agree with that as a possibility. It's just Sam has to have the fucking balls to not argue in the affirmative when he doesn't actually know the answer to something. So, but, all right, let's see where this goes. Then after this question, I'm very sure I'm done. Here we go.
I have to ask your version of Elon Musk has like attacked you and all this.
Okay, and he went right back to you. Okay, I guess they're done with the. Wait, is this about the guy? Let me see.
What is the core of that dispute from your perspective?
No, it's about Elon versus Sam Altman. All right, I'm gonna end it there. I'll post the video so people can watch the rest of this or watch it without us talking over it at all. Please go ahead. Links description box, you buttheads. Bro, where's the real version of that? Like, it's right there. 3 inches down on your screen. It's right there. You fucking dummies. Whatever. Sorry. Frustrations. There's your video. Please subscribe if you feel like. Comment. Agree, disagree. There's a lot of things here. There's like a good chunk of philosophy about like how these things work. What should you be if you owned a company like this? What would you do about it? Some of the questions from Tucker, some of the answers from Sam. There's a whole lot of ideas here, and then you have the, I guess, more conspiratorial. I guess I don't fucking know if it's mainstream or conspiratorial. Honestly, about the guy whose name I don't even fucking know. Who I guess allegedly killed himself. Maybe you don't believe that. Maybe you do. Want to send me information about that? Please go ahead, or someone to check out, and I can react to videos about it. That's for sure. Maybe I'll look into it on my own, but I look into a whole bunch of other things, to be honest with you. So if you have something like very specific that you can recommend, I'll check it out on that topic of the employee or partner or whatever the fuck that allegedly killed himself. And then the other stuff, the philosophical stuff about the nature of AI and how would it work, and what if government gets their hands on it? What about, life advice from ChatGPT or any of these AI programs? Like, what do you think about that? Please tell me in the comment section. Don't forget to share, support, hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. That means the charities, if you want to donate to those. Also, if you want to check out the Discord, please join that if you want to. All links, description box. And with all that said, please give this video a thumbs down. Crawford, Canelo, I'm ready.